What happens with people that have reading difficulties, like like myself, when I was growing up, I didn't learn to read until, oh, probably, I guess, around 8th grade or so. And this carried with me throughout my life up until I was about 19 years old, where I felt that the reason that I couldn't read was because I wasn't as smart as the other kids. I mean, it literally works with anyone. I've taught dyslexic people over the phone how to read. I taught this one gal that was a friend of my father's, and she wanted to go to college and be a nurse. And so I taught her over the phone. And then one time I taught a fellow that he was an athlete and he wanted to go to college. And so he had taken his test and he'd scored real low. He'd gotten like 100 in the hundreds or something like that on his entrance exams. And so I taught him how to read, and that only took a couple hours. And then he went back and took his test, and he basically got to choose whatever college he could go to. In fact, I didn't know about this until about 3 months later when I saw his mother walking down the street. To me, I just taught somebody to read. And she said, "Aren't you the fellow that taught my son how to read?" And she described herself. And I said, "Yeah, I remember that." And he'd actually cry. After I taught him, he cried because it was so obvious to him then, after that experience, that he was just kind of overwhelmed. And so she told me the story about how he'd taken his exams again, and he could go to just about any college that he had wanted to. And I taught one other person over the phone that ended up getting their painting contractor's license. I taught them over the phone. Well, what I would really like to see happen, I'd like to see this method, this application, to be used in 1st grade, so that the kids don't have to spend, all this elementary school time bothering with figuring out what words are. I like to see it happen in the first, it wouldn't take probably 2 weeks in 1st grade. It'd be the first 2 weeks of 1st grade, and then they can spend all their time learning about information, acquiring information. Say, I was going to teach you how to teach it. What I do is I take you through the process. You would grasp every single one of the concepts. They would be so simple to you, and they would be profound enough in your mind that it would be very easy for you to tell someone else. And I've even taught a child that taught another child at lunchtime how to read. So anybody can learn how to teach it. Excellent tool as speech therapy, and it's ideal for a person that wants to learn English. It just doesn't seem reasonable that a person could learn how to read in a couple hours. But if you know the concepts and just apply the concepts, then that's basically, it's really quite simple. It's kind of like an Amish community that had never seen a bicycle before, okay? And they're always walking. Let's pretend that they don't even know about horses and wagons, okay? So they're walking everywhere, and somebody comes along with a bicycle. Now, these people are going to just marvel at the sophistication involved in this bicycle. But for other people, a bicycle is just a bicycle, and it's not that sophisticated, especially in the computer age. But that's about how simple this process is. It's as simple, literally as simple as a bicycle. And then I used it to teach developmentally disabled people, because I was curious as to whether it was simple enough to actually work with adults that are in their 40s or 50s, but actually had mental ages or determined to have mental ages, to say 3 or 4 years old. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to see if I could do that. Later on, I started another program with developmentally disabled, and that was in Ramona, and that was through the Regional Center. And of course, the Regional Center didn't think I was going to be able to teach these people to read. So I did it just kind of as a freebie is what I did. I just worked with them for about 3 months to prove to them that I could actually do this. And so they put me on this little trial, and they decided that they pretty much convinced I wasn't going to be able to do it. So they decided that I didn't succeed, even though I actually had these guys actually reading, maybe 100 different words, and I documented it all, and I made tape recordings of all of it. And this one fella, his father wanted this to be going on, even though the Regional Center didn't really want to bother with this. So with his lawyer, we went through a court process, where they decided that they would put me on a 3-month trial to see if I could do that. And so I ended up doing it, and I did it for a while. So, and it pretty much established that you can teach this method to virtually anyone.